Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Teresa Conroy-Roth, and you are watching the latest episode of Lightning Leadership. With me is someone I think everybody should know. Her name is Darcy Lee. She's a CEO of Vita Nova Strategy. She is an instructor on leadership at Franklin College. She's a past president of Women in High Tech and an all-around one of my favorite people. So, Darcy, welcome to Lightning Leadership.
Thank you.
Now, you've got an interesting backstory as it relates to, you started your own company about 18 months ago and really branched off as an entrepreneur and a woman-owned business doing fractional COO, fractional executive work and coaching and counseling and strategizing. What made you decide to want to break out on your own?
All the things. So there were a couple of things. There were a lot of events that happened in that year that made me kind of stop and think, what am I doing with my life? I am in my early 40s, so that also happens at that time. And so I really wanted to bring all of my gifts and talents to the table. And I felt like no matter what role I was in working for somebody else, I was, segmented to one particular area. So that was part of it. Part of it was, I'd lost people who were very dear to me, and it really made me look at my life and kind of be like, okay, I'm still alive. I can do things. What am I doing? And then I just kept seeing the same challenges that executives were experiencing in small to mid-sized businesses, like over and over and over again in my 20 to 25-year career. And a lot of it seemed very preventable. A lot of it seemed like a lack of planning or just a lack of resources, a lack of being able to put everything that they need done into one role. So do I hire an ops person, but then they don't understand IT, or do they don't understand marketing? I need somebody who knows sales and marketing, customer success and operations. I need somebody who can communicate well. And so I just saw that as a gap. And I thought, what a perfect opportunity for me to come in and fill in those gaps, help them operate more efficiently, help them tackle complex challenges, and particularly at inflection points in their business. So when they're starting to scale or grow, or come to a point when what worked in the past isn't going to work to move us forward. So all those things kind of came together in October of 2024. So we're almost coming up on 2 years. And I said, there's a gap here, and I know that I can fill that gap. So
that's awesome. So you're part of the National Association of Women Business Owners. And looking back, I think if you look at that coming up to 2-year mark, is there anything that you wish you would have known, right, going into something like this?
Yeah. I wish I would have had a better handle on time, even though I know sometimes things. It's like actually having to live and go through it. About the lines for the life of an entrepreneur. There aren't any. So there are often times when I'm doing work on weekends or in the evenings, but then, there are mornings where I'm just spending time watering my plants. So I get that freedom to be able to flex my time. And so I think having to experience that myself, and kind of try to decide, like, what's the best cadence, what's the best path, how do I turn things off, when do I need to turn things off, would have been good to just sort of hear other people's stories on that. But on that same note, I tend to share a lot of information and, hey, these are some things you should be thinking about or doing when other people come to me and say, hey, you're an entrepreneur, I'm thinking about going out on my own, what should I know, right? Some of those things that I like to share are, number one, first thing I did that was the best move that I could have made was to get a really good financial person. So I have a CPA, bookkeeper, tax strategist wrapped all in one. I said, a year from now, I don't want to have a huge tax bill. I want to be really smart about how I operate my business. I need some strategy tips and tricks. Let's do forecasting. Let's look out. So all of the things I knew from being a COO that I didn't want to do. So that was probably the first biggest piece of advice was that. And then of course things like get business insurance,
Yes.
Attorney, like all things that people don't really think about that are like important, like to running a business and to doing it in the right way. And then using tools like Calendly. I love Calendly. So I know some people are not huge fans, but I coordinate like 5 calendars. So I need something that checks all my calendars to know when
you're a busy working mom too. We didn't even discuss that. Right. So those of you that are watching at home or on YouTube, she has that, right? To the plethora of other major skills that she has. And so
I homeschool one kid in public school, volleyball, just got driver's license, getting ready to go to college, like all the things.
I remember those days, but it's okay. because they're short term, right?
Yeah.
It's all short term, and soon they'll be in their mid-20s, and yeah, but they still need things. All right, let's move on.
So.
So one of the things I love about you is that you really blended, and we talked about this just a couple of weekends ago. You blended the extrovert with the introvert. And I know I'm going to throw you off from a question standpoint, but I think this is going to come just so easy for you. Tell us, because I don't have that problem. I'm kind of an extrovert extraordinaire. Never met a stranger and can talk to anyone. You know that. But for those that are somewhere in between, tell me how you do it.
Well, I consider myself an ambivert. And so I heard that term a couple of years ago. That was totally me. I love people. I love getting to know people. I love helping people. I love being involved in things, but I come home, I just want to sit in a hole and watch TikTok. Like, don't talk to me. I can't make any decisions. It does, even though I love it and I thrive off of it, it drains my energy. And so I need to refuel that energy, kind of like recharging my battery.
Yeah.
So, that's been an interesting thing about being an entrepreneur, because I do all the things, I do all my own marketing, I do all my own sales. And so,
invoicing and, following up with people on 30, 60, 90-day terms. And
well, I'm very introspective. Thankfully, my clients pay on time, so I don't have to worry about that. But I've been very introspective in thinking about, like, how do I want to spend my time, right? Because I am a little bit of both. I'm both an operations nerd and a dreamer, right? Like, I can strategize, but we got to pull that down into reality. And so I like to spend my time, doing some things that are very like technical, techie, or operational, or documentation and process. While I spend part of my time going out and networking and collaborating and having meetings and things like that. So I think having my own business gives me a good mix of that. I think the first year and a half taught me I don't like meetings, like who does? And so I don't hate meetings. I just don't like my calendar to be full of meetings, because even if I only have one meeting on my calendar that day, it kind of like disrupts my flow if I'm just like really in the like ops mode.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important. I think a lot of people don't really get those options when they're working for someone else. Like, you have to be one way or the other, or during this time you have to be this way. Whereas I get a little bit more flexibility to choose. When I have clients where I'm running meetings and I'm teaching them the structure of how you run a good meeting, and I'm helping them take notes and assign tasks and follow up with those tasks. I was like, I did a little much of that last year and I enjoy it, but I wanted to do a little bit less of that this year. So it's constantly a work in progress.
I love it. Action items are so critical. I think my teams in the past, right, when I looked at the meeting was wrapping to an end, I was like, who's got the action items? Let's speak them aloud to the universe. Let's write them down. Someone's got to be accountable.
Somewhere where we can track them and who's going to hold us accountable. Yes, I teach that to my students as well.
Yes. Well, tell me about the class you teach at Franklin.
Yeah, so I'm a lecturer of leadership. I teach intro to personal leadership, which I love. And they were really great in understanding the need for, like, an adjunct professor is really someone that comes in who's in the working world, right? Like, you're not in academia as your full time, which I think is wonderful, because there's so much about the way the world is changing that kids really need to understand what it's really like out there, right? Yeah. And so I was asked to come in and teach this intro to leadership course, and they kind of let me. What are you going to teach? And I'm like, I have things. I want to teach StrengthsFinder. I want to teach, the 6 domains of leadership, the 6 types of working genius. I want to talk about crucial conversations. I want to talk about how you can lead from where you are, wherever that is, whatever age you are. I want to talk about, you have to know yourself really well to be a good leader. And so all of those things that I've learned in my career that I actually work with some of my clients on, teaching these students and giving them real life examples, like our friend Rebecca. I love to tell her that, like, I bring her up in my class a lot, like, to talk about how we collaborate and work together, because we know one another's strengths and like what complementary strengths look like actually in action. Or I share stories about, just because you're a leader doesn't mean that's a great thing. And we talk about toxic leadership, and so it's been really great to be able to bring that experience to the students very young. I mean, most of my students are juniors and seniors, so they're experienced enough to like be engaged. Because one of the challenges, I had to sub for a class once that was freshmen, and I was like, "Ooh, I don't know if I could do this," because they're so young.
In college, freshmen in college.
They're like, "I'm at college," and you're like, "This is what the career world's going to be like," and they're like, I
was probably 100%. I get it. And by the time you're senior year, right, you're a little bit more focused. You're focused on internships. You've hopefully got some chops, right?
Yeah.
And some experience to actually have those crucial conversations, about leadership, or you've been a team lead, or, I mean, we're even working in the restaurant biz in high school and college,
Yeah.
right? There's definitely leadership, team leader, right? Or shift
Yeah.
leader. There's definitely
Or,
experiences that they
like being a part of an organization like Women in High Tech,
Yes.
there are plenty of opportunities to lead at lots of different levels. And so I
Oh my
always
gosh.
encourage them to be a part of an organization. We talk about volunteering, we identify volunteer opportunities, and we talk about how that can help you practice some of your leadership skills.
Well, and it's great resume fodder. It's great networking. It's great experience. It's great from a push, pull, give, get type scenario, right? I mean, those nonprofit boards are just absolutely critical, and they can jump into them, right? Whether or not it be a sorority or fraternity or a nonprofit,
Yeah.
right? Those experiences put you above and beyond, I think, the average bear.
Yeah. And I like to bring in leaders as well. So at the beginning of the term, I talk to them about what their majors are, what they're interested in, what fields they might be interested in. And all through the semester, I'm a resource person. Like whether it's tech, it's a person, it's a system,
I'm
whatever.
watching your little hands go
I
like
love it. But I start gathering people like in my mind of who would be great to come in and talk to these students. And I do that for the last 2 classes before the final exam. I bring in 2 different panels of leaders, and it's everyone from like Kiana Warren from Purdue Polytechnic High School to Brad Fruth from Beck's Hybrids, and then Rebecca, who owns her own marketing agency, or Luke Zhang, who is a wonderful leader in many different areas of his life, or just like lots of different people based on what kind of things they want to do. So if you're in nonprofit leadership, let's talk to Karen over at the Ronald McDonald House. She's going to have a lot of feedback she's been in the nonprofit world for a while. So I really enjoy it because I feel like the thing that has helped me the most in my career is when people give me real life examples. Like you can talk you can tell story, you can talk about concepts. And that's one of the reasons that I loved business versus going to grad school and getting a PhD and doing research, was because I love to see how things were actually implemented in the business world. And so when people share their stories, like my friend Jenny shared some stories about leading through change and the challenges in that. And like she had some really good advice and a real story about what she had to do and how she handled it and how others reacted. And I think that's just super helpful for people generally, but particularly for students.
Absolutely. I mean, I think growing up, there were a number of stories, right, that my sister shared or my family shared on situations and challenges that they faced. And simply by listening, right, you can learn so much and not have to make the same mistakes. Or when you do kind of make the same mistakes, you can reach out to someone and say, how did you handle this?
Yep.
Because, man, I'd love to hear your story again. So I get it. Darcy Lee, thank you. Thank you for coming on the show. How do people find you?
Oh, I think it's hard to miss me, but you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty responsive. I'm one of those people who loves LinkedIn. So Darcy Lee is my name, or my website, vitanovastrategy.com. So Vita Nova, if you wonder what that is, it means new life. So there was a really big meaning to me naming my company that, for me personally and for the organizations I work with. So vitanovastrategy.com, and you can always hit me on LinkedIn.
That sounds great. For those of you that are following on LinkedIn, we also have a YouTube channel, and we are on Spotify. So check us out on all locations for past and future episode. We'd love to see you out there. Thank you again, Darcy. Absolutely delighted to know you and call you my friend.
Same. Thank you.
Yay. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Yay.